Hello, 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 and welcome. My name is Sabrina Victoria. Thank you so much for joining me here. I have Mary. We're going to be talking about how to be a powerful marketer. I am so excited for this conversation. As most of you know, I work with all entrepreneurs, and one of the top things that I talk about all the time is the importance of marketing yourself. So I'm super excited about this conversation. Here at Her Talk Show, we delve in every day on topics that are important as far as health, wealth, and leadership. We're going to talk about some of the triumphs, some of the challenges faced by women business owners worldwide. And Mary is here to offer some insights, some inspiration to fuel not only your professional growth, but also your personal growth. Let's dive in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
All right. If you're listening live, welcome. And if you're listening in the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can show you some love in the comments. We're here every day. We delve deep with women all over the world who are brilliant. We've interviewed over 600 women. We have Mary here today. She is a marketing strategist, an entrepreneur, and the author of The Greatest Marketer of the World. She has built and successfully exited a 7-figure business and now helps business owners and marketers align marketing with business growth without burnout. Key on the without burnout. I'm hearing this every day, the burnout thing. Is this something you've dealt with, burnout?
Yeah. Hi, Sabrina. Thank you for having me. Great to be here. And yes, I have been there myself. So this is something that I know quite a lot about, and I'm happy to share that, with you and with the listeners here today.
Yeah, if you could, when and how did it happen?
Well, it was back in 2018, before Powerful Marketers, before the book, and before the global community. I was just, a business owner trying to figure it all out, often the hard way, like we all do, right? So together with my husband, I co-founded a marketing company from scratch. So we didn't have investors or big team, just a clear mission to help business owners communicate better and become more confident, with their marketing. But like most entrepreneurs, I wore every hat. I was the strategist, the copywriter, the project manager, the accountant, the team cheerleader. All of that, right?
Yeah.
So we bootstrapped everything and learned through experience. Growing year by year until we reached these 7 figures in revenue. Yes. So on the outside, it looked like success, but behind the scenes, the pressure was building. With growth, came more complexity, more demands, more overwhelm. So yes, we were scaling revenue, but we were also scaling chaos. And at some point, I had to admit that so many passionate business owners face. We had great clients, a brilliant team, and a strong service, but we lacked this structure. And because back then, the systems we had were reactive, not intentional, right? And our team, just like us, were, stretched too thin, I would say. So, of course, we had fallen into this trap of believing that harder work equals better results. But that mindset, was leading us toward burnout, not brilliance. And I saw that pressure was starting to affect also our personal lives, because I remember it was a family business. And that's when I knew something had to change. So yeah, this is where it all came. And 2018, we decided to exit the business, and we just didn't. We didn't want to just walk away, but we wanted to create something better. And this is where we started to rebuild from the inside, not using the same or exactly using the same 5-part framework that I now also share in my upcoming book, The Greatest Marketer of the World. So, yeah. And of course, we began with a mindset. I stopped glorifying busy and started focusing on clarity, intention, and balance. So at first it's very hard, but you just need to do this mindset shift, so to say, because if you structure strategy so that every marketing activity is aligned with clear business goals, it is already so much easier. So this balance actually helps you here a lot.
When you say more clarity, are you talking about the systems? Are you talking about marketing? What are you talking about when you say less busy, more clarity?
Well, what we did is we stopped chasing tactics and started building relationships through marketing systems, consistently, right? So that would serve us long term and that would serve our clients long term. So what we did, we changed the way we communicated, both with clients and also internally, because that shift alone can bring you a lot of trust and less stress already. So, and most importantly, we had back then 12 to 15 people in house, and we began leading differently. So we needed to create systems, to empower the team and also allow the business to function without needing us to be involved in every single detail.
Wow. Communication with customers. Is this DMs, social media, email? How do you communicate with your clients?
Well, that goes into tactics, right? But if you're asking how we do that per se, or do you ask like how do we do that in marketing as a general?
Yeah, I'm not sure. You said you were concentrating more on communication
Yeah.
versus tactics. So just kind of curious, when you say concentrating more on communication, the our audience is hearing that and they're like, okay, concentrate more on communication. What is communication? How?
Well, we all know that in marketing, consistency is the key, right? But when I say you need to be consistent, what do you think? Usually people think that you need to be there every day, right?
Yeah.
That's consistent. This is not consistency. If you do things on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, this is how you teach your followers or clients. You teach them a habit to follow you. So you have a weekly podcast. People know that every week there will be a new podcast episode coming out. If you have a monthly email, people know to expect that, okay, every month probably they will send over some valuable information about this and that. So this gives them a reason to follow you.
Got it.
So that's why we need systems, because imagine if you don't have the system, how often you put out your podcast, let's say episodes, or how often you send out your emails to your followers, then you would be overwhelmed and stressed because one day you just realize, oh my God, I haven't sent out anything for a week or weeks already, right? And you will be already, you're already feeling stressed about it. But when it's planned, it's in your calendar, and you do things, as on a consistent basis, you don't need to be stressed, and it really helps you, to lower your anxiety level, even I would say, if you have the systems in place.
Absolutely. I love what you're saying here as far as consistency goes, because I do feel like that is something that people deal with where they don't do it at all if they can't do it every day.
Yeah.
Because they believe consistency does mean pretty much daily. Like if not 7 days, at least 5 days a week. And if they can't fit that in their schedule to do it 5 days a week, then they're just like, it's not even worth doing it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I love how you're saying this. Consistency could be something as simple as monthly.
Exactly. And that's consistent as long as you will be there every month for your clients. Of course, you have to, deliver what you promised as well. Because remember, it's not only you who is overwhelmed every day by the constant, information flow here and there, your clients, your followers are also overwhelmed. So don't overwhelm them even more with your content.
Yeah.
Just create the habit to follow you because you give them such valuable information so that they want to follow you, and they would know that, okay, every, I don't know, Wednesday or Sunday, I can expect this or that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Love that. I know that you talk a lot about marketers and how there's a very large percentage of marketers that don't trust or really understand marketing and how it helps business growth. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how marketing helps your business grow, because a lot of people just don't, they think they just have to set up a website. And that all of a sudden money's just going to be rolling in.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that.
I'm happy to share. That's my favorite topic. Thank you, Sabrina. So I learned this from one study years ago, that 80% of CEOs don't trust marketing and marketers. Wow. And when you are a small business owner, you are a marketer and the CEO at the same time, right? This is quite normal. And I wasn't even surprised when I first read that, because I have seen it again and again, because marketing is often, how to put it, misunderstood, undervalued, and seen as a cost rather than a growth driver. But here's the truth, or maybe uncomfortable truth. Marketing itself has a branding problem. So, and I'm happy to show you why is it like that, because here's what I mean. If I were to ask you what sales does, the answer is simple. They bring in revenue, right? If I were to ask you about what finance do in the company, it's clear. They manage money, right? But if I ask, what does marketing do? You will get 100 different answers. Some will say it's social media. You just mentioned it's the landing page or the website. Others will say it's branding. Most people think it's just ads, or maybe just pretty visuals, or just content, whatever. So the lack of clarity is a real problem here. You hear me, right? Yes. Because if business leaders don't understand what marketing actually does, how can they trust it? It's only normal. If the outcome isn't clear, how can they invest in it confidentially, right? So what I see is that too many marketers focus on activities instead of outcomes. But executives, and if you are the CEO of your company, you don't care about how many likes your campaign got. Let's be honest. It's great feeling. Let's admit it, of course. But you don't care about how many impressions your reel maybe received. You care about measurable impact, growth, revenue, retention, profitability, all of these things, right?
Yeah.
So, and how I explain it in my book, for example, is that imagine there is a business event coming into town, right? So you need to build awareness, interest, and trust in the marketplace. So here's how it looks like. What is marketing? The manners promoting it, that's advertising, right? Then you put, let's say, the bus ads, that's promotion. And then there is a story in a local newspaper, that's publicity and public relations, right? Then if you're talking about the event's benefits to potential attendees, that's sales, what you're doing. Now you are sending follow-up emails, right? This is email marketing and client service. Then you're posting on social media, that's social media marketing. If people talk about the event themselves, that's word of mouth marketing. Then probably you are making sure your website ranks when people search for the event, that's SEO, right? And there are so many things, but if you have planned and executed all of this in a way that supports a shared business goal, meaning, selling tickets to these events, that's marketing. So marketing is not one thing. That's the thing. It's like orchestrating many things all together. And when it's done well, it creates this real business momentum. But that's only possible when we, shift from scattered tactics to strategic alignment. And that's why I talk about it so much. I hope it was like logical.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really seeing that because they'll do something for a really short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
It won't produce anything. Like it might be they post on Instagram for a challenge, might be 30 days. They make one sale, whatever. And then they're like, it didn't really work. So then they'll drop that. And then they'll do one other thing like email marketing or whatever else you mentioned. And I can totally understand. I love the word that you use, orchestrating, because any singular instrument on its own can't live up to 12 different instruments playing together harmoniously to create something absolutely beautiful that actually works. Wow, what a great analogy. And I really hope for those, by the way, we have a ton of people watching live. Thank you so much for being here. But what a great visual for us to really understand. And also when you say the word orchestrate, you have to be in tune. So exactly what you're saying, like it has to be all towards one common ground, one song. So like everyone can't be playing a different song.
That's correct. That would be horrible.
Wow, that was really, really nice. I appreciate that. So when somebody is starting out, right? Like I'm thinking of myself right now. When I was first starting out, I didn't have a team. I'm all by myself. This is how people start. They're all by themselves. And they're like, okay, Mary, I get it. Like that makes sense to me. But like, how do I do all of it if I'm all by myself?
And that's why you need a clarity first. So you really need to be sure what is it what you want, what's your business model. Oftentimes especially when we're starting out, we are jumping from one thing to another.
Yeah.
Trying to do one thing and then next thing, but we are doing that very quickly usually. But building trust is not something that you can build overnight. So for example, if you imagine that, okay, I have posted like a month already to the social media and I have sent out some emails, this is not, how trust works, right? So you just need to invest some more time into this. But of course, at the same time, you need to do some you need to validate the service or the product for yourself first. So you need to have some clients first. Of course, when you are just starting out and you are alone, you should definitely also focus on selling at the same time. So the marketing cannot work in silos. And same goes with the sales, because where is the line between sales and marketing? It is very hard to see that line, let's be honest, because marketing is all about how you build relationships, help clients to know you and to trust you. And then the sales is something that helps you convert this trust. And then the marketing and client service will again take over, because they need to make sure that the service is ongoing, and they need to work with client feedback and improving and so on. So it's an ongoing cycle, to be honest. And of course, especially when you're alone, you should you should be clear on your sales goals, which are SMART, meaning that they are what's the word? They are specific, right? They are measurable, they're achievable. So it's all there. It cannot be that, okay, I'm just putting myself out there for the next 2 months and I will, I don't know, become rich because of, selling this or that. So what I suggest is that just do some planning, do some very good planning. Just sit down for a second and imagine, how much time should go for the sales activities, how much information you should put out there, and to whom and why, which is why marketers work with who is your target audience, because you cannot just chase different rabbits, so to say. That's what they say. You should have your target audience, because then you know what might be what is in it for them. So what is the valuable information they're seeking for? How can I help them? It's all about serving your clients. So it all comes down to just sit down and do some planning, and maybe if you have, I don't know, a friend or somebody to whom you can just discuss, how often should I do this and that? Because we all know these answers. Let's be honest. You don't want to, even if you are a fan of a brand or you like some services or products, you want to hear about some updates from them. You want to have some valuable information from them, but you don't want to get it every day. You don't maybe even need it every week. So what are the channels that would be more comfortable for you? Actually, marketing is a very natural thing. You shouldn't overthink. So I would just to put it very shortly, start with planning. And take it seriously, because then later on you don't have time maybe to plan so much. You're starting already doing activities. But if you just plan it out in a most natural way, then usually it's the right path. And of course, you should have feedback from your clients.
So when you're saying a lot, segment out a certain amount of hours per day to sell, is this kind of you saying that we should be selling and marketing throughout? Or because a lot of it is what to do, right? So are we supposed to be doing all the marketing first and then selling at the end of the week? Or is it a daily thing? We're supposed to market and sell, market and sell, market and sell daily. It's kind of what came first, the chicken or the egg? Which one
Exactly.
are you supposed to be? Yeah. Is there an answer?
I don't think there's an answer, the right answer, because it really depends on the service and or the product you have, because there's no one thing that would work for everybody in marketing. So I'm sorry to tell you that. So yeah, probably you should first validate the service or product for yourself, because it's very hard to do marketing to something that have not validated through the sales yet.
Yeah.
You get my point. So for example, if you put together, I don't know, a course for coaches, for example, then you should at least work first with, I don't know, do it free of charge, with the coaches and test on them and ask for their feedback, etc. So we always need to validate it before marketing anything, because people can feel it. They can see you through. If you imagine yourself, you see a lot of commercials and ads and social media posts and all of that, and you can feel it when it doesn't just feel right. You see that, okay, it sounds like a great product, but I'm not buying into that. So where does it come? Why do you think it's like that?
I don't know, but what really came up for me right now when you were saying that is I was thinking about TikTok. And, a lot of these people that sell now on the TikTok shop, because you were saying you can kind of tell when somebody's not sold on their own product. And I've seen that before on TikTok where they're just trying to make a commission and they're saying how great a product is. And you can just tell that they don't even like the product. They're trying to hype themselves up. And it kind of reminds me of what you just said, where you're marketing comes natural, should be natural. You should be so in love with your product and so sold on your own product that it's easy to talk about it with words, and then typing, like actual stories, posts, lives, podcasts. How did you fall in love with marketing? Like, why did you choose marketing?
That's such a great question. And to be very honest, I came to marketing by accident. Or maybe it's not the right way to say that, but in my high school, I had this dream that I wanted to become a teacher of mathematics. I loved mathematics and
Okay.
numbers. And my exams went very bad, so I wasn't accepted to this university where I wanted to be. And I was crying like, I think it was 3 days in a row, because I had, I have always dreamed of becoming a teacher one day of mathematics. And the only thing that they told me was that you should have another extra year, to learn, and then do the exams again next year, same time. But I wanted to move out from my mom's and dad's house. I wanted to be independent, so on. So there were a friend of mine who just told me that, I don't know, there's some business school and I'm just joining it. Maybe you want to come. I'm like, oh, whatever, let's do it. Right? I need to do something. So, and as soon as we joined that business school, even the first year already, we needed to somehow choose, the specialty, or how you call that in industry inside the university. So I took marketing because it sounded back then even like a lot of fun. And I don't feel good to saying it out loud, but I went to university year 2000. So it was 25 years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
I know, I feel like 25 myself, actually.
Wow.
So, and even back then, I saw it, oh my God, it's so exciting. And now, today, I see 25 years later that it is so much aligned with my love for the numbers, because I work a lot with metrics. And that's why I love marketing and sales alignment, because you should always, understand and track the things that are working for your followers and for your audiences and for your clients, and the things that are not working. And thanks to being here today, I can now still work with these numbers a lot. So it was an interesting journey. Wasn't planned.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool. And I'm assuming that the marketing has stayed the same, but also changed quite a bit.
Yep. So the tactics have changed a lot, of course.
Yeah.
We shouldn't even go into that, right? Back then, we didn't even have the proper Google here.
Yeah.
So, and all the social media that came in now, to the AI and all of that. But I also went to learn psychology later on. And thanks to my psychology studies, I have learned that marketing and sales are all, very natural things actually for us. It's all about building relationships. And of course, this has not changed at all, because the way we built meaningful relationships 25 years ago, this is the same way we do it today. Of course, again, platforms are different. I mean, there are offline and online, right? But it's and it is so much more complicated and harder online. But still, how I feel still today, 25 years later, that marketing is still all about building the relationships. And maybe one story I also share that in my book. Maybe a story that we all can relate to. That's dating, right? Imagine if you are at a cafeteria, or walking down the street, and you lock eyes with someone who gives you that instant butterfly feeling. You know that? You smile, they smile, and to your surprise, they walk up to you and ask, "Would you like to have dinner tonight?" You agree, of course. It's a beautiful evening, great conversation, laughter, connection, all of that. But then, the same evening, at the end of the night, this person suddenly drops to one knee and proposes marriage. What's your immediate reaction? Even if they seem perfect, your gut,
Crazy.
your gut says it's too soon. I don't even know you yet, right?
Yeah.
And that's how real relationships take time. So you want to experience them in different situations, see if they are consistent, trustworthy, aligned with your values. Now think about that moment in the context of marketing. Your ideal client comes across your brand. Something about it maybe resonates. Your message, your energy, your offer. Maybe they follow you or subscribe to your emails. But if you immediately ask them buy now before building any relationship, you risk scaring them off the same way. Not because they don't maybe like your offer or need your offer, but because you skipped the steps that build know, like, and trust.
Absolutely. I love that. So marketing and sales is natural. And I love the analogy. That was what I was going to bring up next, but you gave such a great story to align with that is natural. Like that guy and you sold each other or marketed, I guess, each other naturally. Right.
Yeah.
Like when he said, do you want to have dinner? That was that was a sale. That was like
Yep.
him selling you on something. And even in life, like I'm thinking about life, like, what do you want to have for dinner? Where do you want to go? Like, where do you want to live? How many kids? Like, it's all sales. It's all like, you're bringing your idea, they're bringing their idea, and then you're a lot of times trying to sell somebody on your ideas, your thoughts, naturally.
And you know what happens naturally next? Every fairy tale ends with the prince and princess. They are now living happily ever after, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we all know that the happily ever after is where the problems are starting. Who takes I don't know, the dog out? Who takes the garbage out? Who will take care of kids? Who will do this and that? It's always a constant arguing and all of that. And also the same is happening in the business. I mean, when you have your client onboarded and you have ongoing services, for example, you should always have these ongoing discussions, that you ask for the feedback and you work with that. So because you need to work to make sure that the relationship is strong and still valuable for both of you. And the same happens in the castle with this prince and princess, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So
with that feedback, which I have another question for you, but before I ask that question, with that feedback that you're talking about for customers, this is more for my business. I'm just curious what your answer would be. How often should we be circling around to people to kind of make sure they're okay?
I would say again, it depends on the industry you're in, and but I'm just thinking out loud. With some businesses, we work so that if they have the long-term contract with the clients, usually we do once or twice per year to ask for feedback. But there are also businesses who ask monthly feedback from everybody who purchased last month, but they didn't get a feedback questionnaire last quarter. You get my point? So you can do that on a continuous basis, but it depends on your industry, on your needs. But again, you shouldn't overwhelm again yourself. So if you're just starting out, or if somebody's listening thinking, yeah, I would love to have this, then just every month just take 3 people and have a call, just chat with them, tell them that I'm not trying to sell you something to have 5 minutes. I would really love to chat with you. It's invaluable if I would hear your thoughts. How can we improve? What's in it for you? If if you were to I don't know, suggest our services to your friends. What would you say to them? You know, you just need that for yourself, and of course for a website and for a channel, so that you can put it out there as a social proof. But first, you need it for yourself, because this
Yeah.
helps you to retain clients. And also, what haven't changed is that word of mouth marketing is the strongest. And if people, talk about your brand, they will anyway talk about you. So if you are constantly connecting with them and asking for their feedback, etc., they will do that. More, not. They just. I think they are more into talking about you and referring you as well. So if you just take 2 clients every month, that's okay already. Just take that time. Usually we don't plan it into our schedules, and we just forget about it. So that's why I talk about the systems. There are
Yeah.
monthly things you should do, there are weekly things, quarterly, and so on.
Yeah, that's one thing that I do not do. Not because I don't care. I never really even thought
Thought of.
about it.
Yeah, yeah. But this is
But I
where.
could see how that could be beneficial. And I could even see, like, I'm thinking of even my membership, like if
Mhm.
I would have if I would have followed up with them maybe after 6 to 8 months, would they have canceled the membership? Probably
Yeah,
not, right? If
exactly.
I had reconnected with them.
Because then they feel there's a connection, and I'm not just another subscriber for you,
Yeah,
or whatever. I feel
yeah,
that you actually care if I'm
about
there.
them specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we just need to do that, because it is so much. It is. I think I hope I'm not lying, but I think it was, by the theory, 7 times more efficient to retain today's client, comparing to going again on the marketplace and trying to attract new customers and convert them into the clients. So if there's one thing you were asking me to do in your marketing, then just work with the feedback and provide the value to the current clients, because they are the first round you should care about the most,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, as we're kind of closing up here, I have one last question for my audience. So I work with predominantly women business owners, online coaches. So trauma coaches, business coaches, wealth coaches, health coaches, weight loss coaches, who predominantly work with their clients virtually over Zoom. I can just hear them right now being like, I saw the podcast, but like, what? She mentioned so many different types of marketing. I can't do all of them. So I know that they're going to be thinking, or possibly even ask me, what should I start with? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what is the 1, 2, 3 things that I should really delve into as a business owner? In your opinion, you're an expert, for that specific online business owners, virtual work predominantly. Um,
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, as I said, the clarity is most important in a planning. So I work with the MIP concept. It's similar to the VIP, which is very important person, but MIP is most important person, which is you. So I would say just plan in most important person hour weekly. 1 hour, focused hour a day, without any distractions, where you work on high impact activities on or with your business model, right? And thinking it loud and clear. What should I do to bring value, to invest into building these relationships with my followers? What is in it for them to follow me? That's the only question you should answer,
okay.
because nobody follows you for you. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. This is how we are built. So first of all, plan that in, because you need that. You can't just be in chaos every day, and just usually people are too busy to even slow down and think, is it the right path I'm going right now?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I could even say that for myself. I'm going
Yeah.
so fast in, multiple directions,
Mm-hmm.
trying to build my community out, trying to build my brand out, that, yeah, I do find myself, and even just sitting here, I really appreciate this podcast because it's really making me recognize that even though things are going very well, like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
complaining, I'm low key bragging a little bit. But definitely there's some areas where I need to sit and get clear on
Mm-hmm.
the strategies that I'm intentionally using versus it kind of being a little scattered, um, to pulling customers. This has been a great reminder. I'd love for you to speak, as we're kind of closing up here on.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to share the
Oh,
second and the third step as well.
oh yeah, sorry.
So the first one was that plan in the MIP hour, right? And this
Okay.
is exactly where you actually working with how marketing is aligned with your sales goals, right? Because you need the time for planning, because planning is everything. Because marketing doesn't fail because it doesn't work. It fails usually because it's not connected to a bigger picture, right? And that this is where the strategy comes in, as you just shared. But usually the word itself maybe is, I don't know, too big even. But what it means is that you will actually know what should happen by the end of, let's say, next quarter for a business or next month, and you just keep on tracking and comparing your activities based on that. And the third step is about building a process, and this is exactly where the business wants to scale. Usually the reason why we fail scaling is that we don't have these processes in place or systems. So our brains are not meant to store repetitive tasks. It's meant to think strategically. And there are also research that shows that if you do the checklists and the systems for yourself, you can reduce human error by up to 30 to 40%,
Wow.
especially. So, and that is why pilots, for example, use that, because you just might forget something, and you're just too busy on a daily basis. So these would be the first three things I would suggest to start, because as soon as you have a system in place, and you start, the repetitive things will help you be consistent, and then it's very easy to delegate things if you need to do something else.
Yeah.
So these would be the first steps. Okay, now carry on.
Yeah. And yeah, sorry about that. I didn't realize I was cutting you off. And I appreciate this. This helps me even more. So this has been great. Um, there's people watching live. There's going to be tons of people watching on the replay. I'd love to know who should be reaching out to you. Who do you help? And do you work virtually?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. I'm working with marketers who are overwhelmed, and they just feel like, okay, I get it, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I cannot do it alone. I need some, inspiration, guidance, motivation, or even some practical tools, maybe, or practical guidance. And this is exactly where I tell people to, to contact me. And yes, I work online because we are building a marketing community worldwide. So we have our Powerful Marketers Hub, which is exactly the place for the marketers who want to work smarter, not harder. And it's not just a place where we learn together. It's really practical. We also have, weekly meetings and meetups, and we create on-demand tools for our clients. For example, the other week we just created some AI tools list for them. So, and we have the SEO specialist, who is helping them in the hub, etc. So, yeah, just look it up from the powerfulmarketers.com website, and you can learn more.
Beautiful. And then to anyone that wants to maybe follow you on social, where do you predominantly hang out?
I'm most active in LinkedIn. with my own name, Mari-Liis Vaher. And we also have the company page, Powerful Marketers, on LinkedIn. We have over 2,000 people joined us there, so it's quite a big community there, and you're all welcome to follow us on LinkedIn.
That's fabulous. Well, this has been just great. I so appreciate you coming on and just sharing such valuable information for us. And I'd love to kind of hear any closing thoughts, anything we missed that you think would be valuable for predominantly the ladies listening.
Well, yeah, if there's just one thing, that you would take away from this conversation here today, let it be this, that marketing is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters with clarity, purpose, and alignment. So you don't need to have to hustle your way to growth, right? You can lead your way there, one intentional step at a time. And the best part, of course, is that you don't have to do it alone. So that's why we have, communities like you are building one, right, for the women, and I'm building for the marketers. So don't do it alone. Just, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and to that point, one of the things that I do talk about all the time is the importance of making sure you're in community. I always say that we need to be in one community, two communities at any given time in our life. We need to be in one with something that we enjoy, right? So if we're into health and wellness, if we're into beauty, if we're into hair, if we're into knitting, sewing, you should be in and amongst a community that does stuff like that. So you can enjoy that. You can do that with them. And then you should always be in a community that's teaching you something. So what is something in your life that you need help with? For instance, marketing, right? Joining a community like Mary's that can help you with that area in your business that you don't quite understand, that you don't quite get, is very, very important for us mentally. And I think one of the most important things that Mary said that I really appreciate as we're closing up here is that our minds are meant to be creative. And I think that marketing is creative, and it's a place where we get to kind of try out different things and create visions for our potential customers to be able to fall into, stories for them to fall into, visions, analogies for them to fall into, and to really view or create a vision for their life that they didn't necessarily know or have previously. And that's something that all of us have the ability to do as business owners, is change people's lives. Whether it's through something as simple as food or something as amazing as, getting you to the next level in business. So I love this. Thank you so much for being here, hanging out with us, for the wisdom, for inspiring us. To our dedicated listeners who are here live still, who are on the replay listening, we thank you for staying with us into the very end. Remember to follow, like, and share. And once again, Mary, thank you.
Thank you so much. It was great chatting with you, Sabrina.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the host here at Her Talk Show. Thank you for being here. Mary's website, powerful-marketers.com, is in a clickable link in the description below. Feel free to check that out and connect with her. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen.